some curious events in the past few days have come to our attention, which show clearly that there are attempts by some elements to desecrate the legacy and the name of President Rawlings even upon his demise. These acts are being perpetrated by persons who have shown a desire to constantly humiliate Jerry John Rawlings and his family even when he was alive. It is worth noting that these deliberate orchestrations to humiliate the Rawlings family began long ago. It began right from the period when certain individuals, many of whom were direct beneficiaries of the revolution that Jerry John Rawlings led, and the party that he formed at the peril of his life, felt the need to use their temporary hold on the leadership of NDC to relegate him to the background in order to capture the juicy fruits born from his sacrifices. They have tried to harvest where they have not planted. For the past decade, these elements, led principally by the Ahoys and the Mahama group within the NDC, orchestrated a series of coordinated attacks aimed at destroying the legacy of Jerry John Rawlings. This they did by sponsoring political neophytes, JJ himself aptly described as babies with sharp teeth, to unleash barrages of insult and spew damning political rhetoric on the persons of Mr. and Mrs. Rawlings. Even the eventual ostracization of Mr. and Mrs. Rawlings from the NDC was inadequate to appease them. As recently as this year, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the running mate of the NDC, wrote the foreword of a book by Professor Kwame Ahoy, which was aimed at destroying legacy of Jerry John Rawlings. Indeed, in the weeks leading up to his demise, President Rawlings made it clear to all those he had meetings with that he was extremely heartbroken that neither the leadership of the NDC nor the executives had made any statement in defense of the founder, nor to correct the lies in the book, Working with Rawlings. Today, the political henchmen who were utilized for such diabolic assignments have been rewarded with high positions in the NDC. And John Mahama and those who picked up the baton are also expecting big posts under a Mahama government. Those who produce forewords of books that cast the founder of the party in bad light are hoping to occupy the highest position in government on the ticket of the party, which was formed through the sweat and blood of Jerry John Rawlings. What did Rawlings do to warrant such disrespect from the NDC under the leadership of John Mahama? All Rawlings did was to be a voice of conscience, reminding them of his enduring principles of probity, accountability, and anti-corruption. Creeds the NDC under John Mahama blatantly disregarded when they assumed the reins of power. As a result, they sought to silence him so as to prevent him from publicly repudiating them for their unprecedented levels of corruption. We are troubled that some of these same persons, upon the demise of President Rawlings, now seek to lead in mourning the man. They have begun to shed crocodile tears. They spent thousands of dollars to sponsor videos made in Washington, D.C. by one Kelvin Tyaylor, who is tipped to be information minister in the event of a Mahama comeback, to insult President Rawlings in words, some of which we dare not repeat, and posted them all over the world through Facebook, WhatsApp, and other social media platforms. With the apparent endorsement of John Mahama and NDC leadership, Kelvin Tyaylor said, and I quote, "Rawlings is a modern-day Judas and a hypocrite. He and his sleazy wife are greedy. He behaves as a lapdog to the NPP government and always kisses the ass of Nana Akufo-Addo anytime he gets opportunity to speak about corruption." He also went on to say, and I quote, "JJ Rawlings is not God. He is bad news and a modern-day Judas, and such a man does not even deserve to be a statesman. JJ Rawlings is a coward. You are a hypocrite and a disgrace on the lap of a midget. These actions were deliberate and orchestrated by the Mahama-led NDC to hurt Jerry Rawlings and kill his soul, even when he was alive. And now, the NDC, which was fighting over a book of condolence, ended up restating their contempt for President Rawlings by using a reception logbook as a book of condolence at their party office. We want to serve notice that the NDP will make it a point to expose those who are making feverish attempts to rewrite their despicable opinions about President Rawlings and readjust their abhorrence for the man after all the sacrifices he made for them. And now, upon his demise, they are seeking the limelight for more personal political gain. How dare they? If John Mahama managed to profit from the death of President Mills, he should not be allowed to do the same with the demise of our beloved President Rawlings, and Ghanaians should not and will not oblige him that. The hypocrisy of the NDC. When Jerry Rawlings was alive, John Mahama so desperately wanted to silence him. And now that JJ is no more, John Mahama finds it expedient to utilize his death to galvanize support for his weakening base within the NDC rank and file and the country at large to salvage his 2020 campaign, which is going nowhere. Suddenly, the individuals in the NDC under the current leadership of John Mahama, who publicly vilified Jerry John Rawlings, have rediscovered a new voice proclaiming themselves to be the true adherents of his ideals. Those who publicly describe JJ using unpleasant words such as calling him a barking dog are now hailing him. Why? In what was widely reported by media outlets in Ghana, John Mahama during the NDC's unity walk in Ho, in the Volta region in 2018, was on record to have labeled JJ Rawlings as a Volta god with a small g, who did not deserve to be worshipped by Voltarians. In fact, he's quoted as saying, "We have worshipped the Volta god for so long. It is time to build a party beyond individuals. No sacrifice will please him." This was a classic situation where John Mahama made a futile attempt to turn Voltarians against their hero. It did not end there. Voltarians who felt they were going to be safe under the leadership of John Mahama were given the shock of their lives when Mahama deliberately sponsored candidates to remove all Voltarians from the leadership of the NDC during the national executive elections. Today, there's not a single Voltarian elected to a substantive position, not even as a deputy, in the Mahama's NDC. Today, the same Mahama who admonished Voltarians against what he claimed as worshipping of the Volta god is frantically exploiting the death of the same Volta god to salvage his failing political ambitions. It is too late. The most unfortunate aspect of this development is that, in an attempt to unduly benefit from his demise, the leadership of the NDC are embroiled in a desperate battle against the state and the Rawlings family over who has a right to conduct the funeral rites of the late president, whom they have so much maligned. What they do not know, or perhaps have deliberately overlooked, is the fact that they are robbing the late president of a befitting send-off. Or maybe that is what they want. They desperately want to reduce his send-off from a befitting state burial to a party funeral just so they can benefit politically. The wishes of President Rawlings. This brings us to the point where we examine the wishes of President Rawlings. It is an important exercise that true believers and cadres of his ideals must conduct, because honoring his wishes in his absence is precisely what is needed to honor him and his legacy. In doing so, I will ask a few questions that should get us to ponder over the man and his wishes. Would JJ have wished for the current crop of NDC leaders to conduct his funeral rites? The answer is no, because in Keta, for his mother's funeral, he was visibly pained and made his hurt known to John Mahama and NDC for turning the solemn ceremony into an NDC event. This was all captured on video. Would he have wished for Voltarians to support a leader who said Voltarians were treating him as if he was the Volta God? The answer is no. Would he have wished for the cadres of the revolution to support a running mate who edited and produced a foreword of a book that desecrates his legacy, and by extension, the legacy of all those who sacrificed for our nation? The answer is no. Would we have wished for Mahama to continue leading the party and driving it further away from the principles and values on which he built the party? The answer is no. JJ, in an interview with Kweku Sechiado on Asasi Radio on 12 July 2020, categorically stated that he voted for his wife, Nana Konadu NDP Rawlings, in the 2016 presidential election. When he was alive, he chose not to be part of John Mahama's 2020 campaign, and it would be disingenuous to seek to make him a part of the campaign now that he's gone. Much more so to link his funeral to the same party's activities. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 2020 elections are due in a matter of weeks, but JJ is gone. However, ask yourself as a cadre or a comrade, ask yourself as you mourn his passing, ask yourself as someone who shared the pain that Mahama and his supporters inflicted on JJ when he was alive. Ask yourself as someone who believes in what JJ stood for. Would JJ want to vote for a candidate that he thought was not fit to lead the party that he, JJ, founded? As a matter of fact, JJ Rawlings was eager to see Mahama lose in the 2020 elections because he believed Mahama and his cohorts had departed from the very ideals of probity and accountability upon which the NDC was formed. When Mahama was elected as the flag bearer of the NDC for the 2020 general elections, JJ was blunt about Mahama's intentions. According to JJ, Mahama's intentions are not to win the 2020 general elections. His intentions are to simply hijack the NDC with his money in an attempt to show up again as the party's flag bearer in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, we can foresee NDC losing this election, and 2021-2022 ushering in a new era for the soul and control of the NDC. That fight is inevitable. John Mahama has ironically themed his 2020 campaign a rescue mission. This is ironic because many die-hard activists who mean well for the NDC are waiting for an opportunity after the John Mahama's defeat 2 weeks from now to begin in earnest the mission to rescue the NDC from John Mahama and the Ahoys. Our message to all those true Rawlings loyalists and disgruntled disciples of probity and accountability is this: join the NDP now, and let's work together to honor what JJ believed in. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly, if you are a true believer in JJ, you cannot honor his memory by choosing a candidate who, together with backers, sowed discord between JJ and the party he founded and worked hard to discredit Mrs. Rawlings, his lifelong defender, partner, counselor, pillar, friend, confidant, comrade, and soulmate. As promised, we will call you again to update you on our presidential bid. But definitely, we will not glorify our detractors. Finally, we would like to the entire members of the Rawlings, Aguchi, and other affiliated families in Accra and Keta to know that they are in our thoughts and prayers. We wish to thank them and his wife and children for sharing JJ Rawlings with the whole country and the NDP. We thank him for his support for our party. Our final message goes to Mrs. Rawlings. We say stay strong as JJ would have liked you to be. As always, his soul will continue to protect you. Thank you. God bless you. Long live the legacy of Rawlings. Long live the revolution. Long live our leader. Long live the NDP. Thank you very much. My name, I'm Alhaji Mohammed Frimpong, the General Secretary of NDP. Hello? My name is Alhaji Mohammed Frimpong, the General Secretary of National Democratic Party. But as a matter of fact, NDP, we have General Secretaries with the title Secretary General. So I am indeed the Secretary General of the National Democratic Party. Thank you very much. Yes, I'll take them. Okay.
Good afternoon once again. Thank you very much for coming. Now the floor is open for questions. If you have any question, please kindly come to this side. Then we pick it from there. So maybe three each. We pick the first three, we answer them, then we move on to the next set. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Your name and where you are from, please.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Please come close. Is this place? Okay, right.
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Latif Idris. I work with Joy News. Thanks for the clarification given on what you have now described as fake news. But I want you to be clear with us. Is she going to contest come December 7, 2020, or she's opting out and she will not be in the race come December 7, 2020? That is different from saying what has gone out earlier today is fake news. I want if you can put clarity on that for us. Secondly, you described her in your speech as more than a midwife of the NDC. Now that the former president, may he so rest in peace, is gone now, is no more with us, would you say the midwife and the mother of the NDC will reconsider her position, the position she had about the party when the co-founder, in your own words, was alive? Will she now reconsider her decision to, change her own perception and posturing towards the opposition NDC? My final question, you made allegations about the former president sponsoring videos by one Kelvin Tyaylor to damage the reputation of the late former president. Would you mind sharing with us the evidence that you have to support this claim that you have just made on national television? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So please, before we proceed, there is one thing that we have to do before we come back to the questions. We have our local language stations also peaking, so we have to summarize everything in our local language. That's Chi. Then we move to the questions. I hope we are okay. Yeah, okay. So Alhaji, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first answer whether the flag bearer will contest. In line with tradition, the very observation that somebody made, that according to whether a country, whatever, you expect a widow to bow out, because of the demise of her spouse. We think that was not the case, but rather you don't subject. Politics is an active process. We do not want, we've stated in our opening, in our intro, that the issue whether or not she was going to contest does not even arise. If you know too well. But you don't also go before a widow, and carry out what is circulating in public, and have a conversation with her. So don't you worry, we all live in Ghana and we live to see. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we said she was the mother and the midwife. Nobody will contest that fact. But like political parties, unfortunately, are not like, domiciles that you build so that if the occupants are misbehaving, you just boot them out. Political party laws allow like-minded people to continue to build it up. And that is what happened. But fortunately, or unfortunately, that is the issue we are talking about now. You know, the issue is that the late president, as the founder of the nation, is not tested. And the stability that we've enjoyed for 28 years is not also to be looked upon, you know, as something that is of fun. It is indeed a priceless achievement for the nation. But you see, as in every ideal, you always have what you call revisionists. The revisionists may have their purpose. On the broader global scene, I will cite the case of, you remember the former Soviet Union. You know, when the Chinese were accusing them of revisionism, they thought they were very much founded. And in fact, the same revisionism led into the collapse of a very formidable nation called the Soviet Union. So that's what we're talking about. You know, Rawlings' ideals are impregnable and is so important to the nation. So if you have a group of people who will toy with it, I mean, just like all of us in the NDP, we do not want to glorify them. So as to whether they will come back or not, well, since there's an English word called repentance, probably, you know, that's only where we have that possibility, you know, if people can repent, you know. But certainly, that will require a lot of purging, and we do not want to put our head to that task. So as to whether she is going to come or not, you know, is another question. Don't worry. The issue of the sponsoring of Kelvin Tyaylor or whatever, you know, at the appropriate time, we'll tell you. I mean, don't mind at all. That is not a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, like I mentioned earlier on, we need a summary for our local radio stations, please.
Yeah. After ni atiefo a mo ehwe yen etie yen na awie yi ne tie awatwo mu a ne se ye mampanyin dada wafi mu no na hokani ene yen Frankatuni Dr. Mrs. Nana Konadu Rawlings ena amase ye hia sa trofo ene de ubofo ehia mu yi ne ye kan tie wa ne se opanyin no ene Ghana bedi ni yie wakano kure ewo bibiara woyim ena amase ye kami mamuo anantio a etoso nan yi a ye chichiri no ho ye manmu yin esombo bebre ama se bi kan no gabati ku no papa no ba wasi ku asa na enam se ni trimupo ne na dwempa a wodi di yen kan nti no enfia dio no watwini porpor dio no watwi yenya asomdwe na obi be bisa se dro no de ekote ne wo he sa ahaba no ekote ne wo he efri ye mampanyi a wonye ne ba bi ko JJ Rawlings adwene mu ena ene ye ba be duru ba bi ye droi enti no so obi etoto na ase a na se kra wo tofo mi ye mampanyi na akufo ado esi so kan se kofa baya wodi ye kabi amamwe baye JJ Rawlings Portugal se kan se founder of the Fourth Republic in the sebi so omampanyin bi amu se kofa baya Fourth Republic yi ye mampanyin JJ Rawlings na eni se ye toto nase but emom ne ye kan se sebi o ebi mutri mu pa na omodwe se omone nani nhia efa dufude pe ene niema keka ka ho nti no omo toto na sia kopem se omo kan se wo volta fo kora bosom volta region bosom enti no enya ade a yesom ne biom na mbom senka no kora ne se ampani ampa se yenya aibefo ana se volta bosom ebi aba ama oman no anya asomdwe for 28 years na mje se sa bosom na nka o mfaso na mbom liti a watwa mu sebi yenim se no onye bosom ena ye bisa biom se enti ye maame a wono so wo GNDC awo wo ba aboso agi NDC awo wono so no se si ani kura firi mu no obeba na emre mu no se wuti amanyoku a enkrofo na ombeba mu no enti se edan a wasi a obeka se wutu na firim enti no se nipa no etwintwa awa ne obeya ne se obeja nasema amano na ne kan se ewiase amamman mu ha akandifo bi enya etrimupo ene asempa bi ebedi amanfo bi anim na enam se bio akitafo bi antena ante omo ase a omo toto sankofo no anemu no sa mamu ni nyina ebugui me disusudia ya bibi omo bi ane fe no Russia na Russia na e ma no gina pa eye obi ne trimupo ne nadwen ena ne edikan enese ankwanko ba se nipa foforo so sorry se bio no odwe ne omoman ho a enka etietia omo so nka oman no kura no nka se bio akwakọ ti se bebia bibia enimo enti se omanpanyi bi ba na ne trimupo eboa oman anye de yasundwe a yenya no emfie aduonu enwotwe no enye ade a ewo se yetutu na se na yesanka biom se yamampanyi dada ene nkofo bi di nkita ho abuchire se yenidi omanpanyi a wanya ne bibia ko na tem ene ho ne manema ai samokaya o kan se enkola bi efifirisi atenten a omuka wa echen wowo a yefen baby with sharp teeth yamampanyi ekan ene ebimukura kan se o we kraman ya wo bubu no ma chichire no enti na sankofo ya biem ebesan omo echi abeka se ejewu omo tu a na eye sebisebio enisu a omode edada Ghana man na enam se National Democratic Party yen ye ben ye mame Nana Konadu Rawlings ene na hukani a wafiri mu nti no ye wo enisuade hunu bi a ye ka se omutrimupo a omode akekere oman no ye nyina ana se ye mpese obi betoto na se na emom ewose nso ye hyase na anamompa awose yetuo no ne yetu nti revolution ni ba ye no sebisebio na eye ye mrante ne mabawa a ye frɛ cadres ye ne ti ye hugu oman nim ekekere revolution no na yenyesuahuru bebre wom enti ne ye kan se obiara wogi Rawlings edie no emra ba se wodwen ho na wo se sebisebio papa no wodi yaw ansana wo kɔ ne krachi efa wono ankasa party a wotiye aye National Democratic Congress enti no e wo se nyina ye ahweye na oman no enkan kro ene nia efata se nyina ye boa eye no ye kabom na yebedi National Democratic Party echi because na hokani nyame adom ye bompa ye ma no se nyame entune nkwandem na aboso a ono so wabo a se sia no obepese obekekere oman no obe efense etu franka amaye party no so no se nyame edini besiye na amagana so ediye yedema